I'm Alex Worley, and this is Business Rockstars. We are broadcasting from the Milken Global Conference, and we have a very special guest joining us now, Cindy Whitehead. She is the CEO and founder of Pink Ceiling and Pinkubator. Thanks for sitting down with me.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yes, and now, first of all, we just need to brag on you for a little bit, because you were one of our favorite guests.
Thank you. You
did the amazing thing of selling a billion-dollar business. Wow. Tell me a little bit about that.
Probably what I'm best known for professionally is having gotten the first ever drug approved by the FDA for female sexual desire, what the media calls female Viagra, and that is the company I sold for $1 billion.
Amazing. So you did it yourself, and now you're helping other women with Pink Ceiling and Pinkubator. So tell me a little bit more about those businesses.
Yes. So, if you look at entrepreneurship for women, I think there are two problems, and I try to solve them both. Through the Pink Ceiling, we invest in women. We make early bets in geeks like myself, likely scientists or engineers who are bringing forward a product. They can be either a woman leading that charge or guys actually doing great work with a product specifically focused on women. Inside of the Pinkubator, we do mentorship, because I think that's the unspoken problem in female entrepreneurship, is lack of access or visibility of other women who've been there and done that. So we work with a broad range of industries and women at different stages to move them forward quickly.
Let's dive into both a little bit further. So the first one, obviously the big issue is that there aren't as many female investors, and therefore it's harder for female founders to get invested in. So tell me a little bit more about that.
Well, look, by the numbers, last year women had 2% of the venture capital. 2%.
That's crazy.
You know that doesn't make sense when you hear that number, right? But I think that the basis of that is human nature. If I walk in and I have a product like a female Viagra, and I'm sitting across the table from all men, they have no personal ability to relate to it, if you will. Yeah. And so by human nature, you wouldn't invest. And here's what I like to say in parallel. If someone were to come to me tomorrow with the greatest invention ever in golf, and I'm not a golfer, I'm unlikely to invest in it. If they said to me, Cindy, go out and talk to everybody you know who golfs and show it to them, see if they would use it. I go and talk to my brothers and everybody else, and they say, oh my God, this would change my life. I'll start to do the math and invest in it. But I think what happens for women is you've got to make that ask first. You have to find the person with whom it will relate and connect in order for them to consider the investment.
So you help them bridge that gap, help the investors find that personal connection, if it's not themselves personally, by reaching out to their network.
Sure, and I think that for women, if there are more women sitting on that side of the table, suddenly we're going to start funding those things that we want to see in the market.
Absolutely.
And I love to see the movement with not only, VCs specifically focused on female founders or making sure there's a female founder in the mix, at least one, but also angel investors. If you look at Portfolio, this group of a lot of different accredited angel investors, they are women wanting to help other women rise.
Now, off camera, one of the things you told me that women especially deal with in entrepreneurship is being underestimated.
Sure.
So tell me what you mean by that, and how can we overcome this obstacle?
Look, I think that for sure, my greatest piece of advice is prepare to be underestimated and then show up and kill them with competence. And I think you are going to be underestimated. It is the way that it is. That can either paralyze you with frustration, you can rail against that, you can be defeated by it, angry by it, or you can just harness that and fuel it to surprise people. I think that is a weapon that we still have, is the surprise. I show up in pink all the time.
Yeah,
I
you
like
said
to
you're
say
unapologetically pink.
I'm unapologetically
Love
pink
that.
for sure. The pill was the little pink pill, and that started, I think, some of the healthy irreverence in that I know people were dismissive. Oh, the little pink pill. There was a dismissiveness in that, and yet I think pink is, women kind of finding their pink is using their feminine superpower, if you will. And I think we have a lot of traits that make us ideally suited for leadership, particularly in a world that is going increasingly data-driven, all technology. It's that empathy and that ability to listen and problem solve that women have that I think makes the C-suite ideally pink.
And you're speaking at the Milken Conference.
Yes.
What are you speaking about?
I'm speaking about, in essence, social entrepreneurship, but how the next gen is really using business to change social conversations and patterns. And that's what, in so many ways, Addie was about for me inside of Sprout was about this broader need to have a conversation around female sexuality. And I'm thrilled that the profile of companies that are part of the Pinkubator have a social entrepreneurship type component.
Amazing. So for our entrepreneurs who are watching and listening, who want to start this kind of social impact company, what advice do you have for them?
Follow your heart. I mean, it's going to sound so basic, but I think that's the truth. Social entrepreneurs want to solve a bigger problem. Social entrepreneurs, in my mind, I just gave a talk about this, why do you break the rules? And I think that social entrepreneurs break the rules on the basis of empathy and wanting to change the game. And I think if you have that kind of idea, follow it. It's worth having the conversation. And win or lose, take it to the mat. Go all the way with it. Be unapologetic in the mission.
Is there something logistically about building a social impact company that works a little bit differently than more traditional businesses?
Well, look, I think it is it's an environment in which you have to pick exactly the right people. The DNA of the organization has to sort of live, breathe, blood, sweat, tears, the mission. So I think we're, in a conventional business and I'm selling a widget and, people can sell a widget and there's some fundamentals of how that works and how you market it. I think that there's a depth of feeling in a social enterprise and you've really got to find those people that connect to it because it's going to be a bumpy road and they got to stay with it the whole way.
Such good advice. The entire interview, loved it. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks so much for having me.
Such a pleasure meeting you.
Yeah, likewise. Thanks for having me.
You bet.